The red twin suns were setting behind the giant metal towers of Karos Trade Moon, painting long shadows across the crowded marketplace. Thousands of alien species moved through the broken streets, some buying, some selling, and many simply trying to survive in the chaos. But among all the noise, one human walked with calm steps. Jace Rowan, a young human supply runner, had visited many alien markets before, but today felt different. The air felt too heavy, too quiet in certain corners, as if the market itself was hiding a secret. Jace carried a small bag of tools, minding his own business, till a strange shout stopped him. Buy one, get one free. Two bonded alien women, nobody wants them. The voice was loud, cracked, desperate. Jace turned and saw a skinny old vendor standing on a wooden platform. Behind him, two alien women stood chained together. Their heads were bowed, their skin glowing a soft violet under the dying sunlight. They looked thin, scared, and alone. The crowd laughed at the vendor's announcement. 2 for the price of 1. Must be cursed. No sane person will take Elleren's sisters. Keep them away from me. Jace's eyes narrowed. He knew the galaxy was cruel, but something about this scene felt wrong. These women were not dangerous. They were terrified. He took a step closer, trying to understand what he was seeing. The vendor saw him and grinned with yellow teeth. Human, you want a bargain. Take them. Buy one, and the other is free. Jace didn't respond. He was staring at the sisters now. One looked slightly older tall, with silver hair that reached her waist. The other looked younger, shaking as she tried to hide behind her sister. Their eyes lifted for just a second. And Jace felt something sharp inside his mind. A whisper. A plea. A small voice that didn't come from their mouths. Please. Don't leave us here. Jace froze. Telepathic. The younger one, the frightened sister, blinked rapidly as if she didn't mean to send that message. The older one quickly grabbed her hand, as if trying to silence her. Jace took a small breath and stepped closer. What's their story? He asked quietly. The vendor leaned in, speaking in a low, harsh voice. They are Ellerena race that bonds for life. Once they bond with someone, they stay with that person forever. Jace frowned. So why is nobody buying them? The vendor laughed nervously and looked around as if scared of being overheard. Because their last owner disappeared. The crowd nearby slowed down. Listening, one alien whispered, he vanished in his sleep. Another said, no body ever found. A third hissed, they killed him with their cursed bond. The sisters flinched at the harsh words. The older one's hands tightened into fists, but she said nothing. The younger one trembled so hard her chains rattled. Jace studied them carefully. He didn't see killers. He saw misery. He saw hunger. He saw fear. Why are they free? Jace asked. Because nobody wants them. The vendor snapped. I'm practically giving them away. They are useless, broken, too much trouble to handle. Everyone who gets close to them regrets it. Jace's eyes moved between the sisters. Their skin was glowing softly. Their eyes were clear but full of pain. They did not look dangerous. They looked abandoned by the whole galaxy as Jace watched them. He felt something strange like an invisible rope connecting them to him. The younger sister stared at him again, her violet eyes shimmering with unspoken desperation. Another whisper touched his mind. We can feel your kindness. You do not fear us. Jace stepped even closer now, until he was standing right in front of them. The older sister lifted her head at last. Her eyes were strong, sad, but determined. When she spoke, her voice was soft and carried ancient sorrow. We do not harm, she said. We protect. That is our purpose. The vendor quickly pulled her back. Don't believe a word they say. They're trouble. Jace ignored him. He looked straight at the older sister. What happened to your last owner? Before she could answer, the vendor shoved in front of them. None of your business, he barked. Do you want them or not? The crowd started gathering again. Human, don't be stupid. They'll ruin you. You'll disappear like the last one. But Jace did not move. Suddenly, the younger sister stepped forward, her voice shaking. We did not kill him, she whispered. We tried to save him. She looked around nervously, then added, something else came for him. And now it is coming for us. The vendor slapped her across the face, trying to silence her. Quiet. Do not say that. The older sister held her tightly, eyes burning with anger. Jace's fists clenched. His heart pounded. Something inside him knew these sisters were not lying. Something was hunting them. Something dangerous, and now. It had noticed Jace too. The marketplace suddenly felt colder. The shadows felt longer. And the crowd slowly stepped away from Jace as if he had already made his choice. The vendor forced a smile. So, human, will you buy them? Jace looked into their trembling eyes. 2 alien women. Rejected by everyone. 2 souls nobody wanted. 2 lives standing on the edge of danger. Jace didn't say a word, but his next action would change everything. Asterisk, the vendor waited for Jace's answer, but the marketplace around them was changing. The sun's last rays slipped behind the towers, and the long shadows of the metal structures stretched across. The ground like dark fingers trying to reach the sisters. The older alien woman leered quietly, watching Jace as if she already knew what he would decide. The younger sister clung to Lyra's arm, her violet eyes wide with fear and hope mixed together. Jace still didn't speak. He only stepped closer. The vendor rubbed his hands together, thinking the human was interested only because he wanted a cheap deal. You won't find a better offer. The vendor smirked. 2 Ellerin sisters for the price of 1. They bond easily, loyal until death. They obey without question. Perfect servants if you can survive them. The crowd snickered. Human won't last a day with them. He will disappear tonight. Better write your will. Jace ignored the jokes and studied the sisters more carefully. There was something strange about the energy around them, something warm yet frightening, like silent electricity humming just beneath their skin. Lyra lifted her chin and spoke calmly. You should walk away, human. We bring danger. Jace shook his head slightly. Danger from what? Lyra glanced at the vendor, then at the sky, then finally back at Jace. From the one who hunts us. It hunts our kind. And anyone who stands with us. Before Jace could ask more, the vendor snapped loudly. Enough. You'll ruin the sale. He tightened their chains and pulled them forward. Human, they are Ellerin. Their bond chooses their master. It cannot be broken. You take them, they become yours forever. Rin whispered, voice trembling. We do not want a master. Only safety. Jace felt a sharp ache in his chest. These women had lived their whole lives as property. They didn't need an owner. They needed someone who saw them as people. Jace didn't touch them yet, but he lowered his voice. You said you can bond. What does that mean? Lyra exchanged a quick glance with her sister. Ellerin bond is a connection, she explained softly. We share thoughts, feel emotions, and once bonded, we protect the one we link with, always. Jace raised an eyebrow. So, like telepathy. More, Lyra said. It is a heart link. If you are hurt, we feel it too. If you are in danger, we will know. Rin added, we see truth, even when others lie. Jace felt a shiver travel down his spine. Not from fear, but from something deeper. something like fate pulling him closer to them. The vendor waved a hand impatiently. Bond, connection, protection, who cares? Human, are you buying them or wasting my time? A faint pulse of light flickered around Lyra's wrists, and the metal chains rattled softly. Jace noticed it immediately. What is that glow? He asked quietly. Lyra hesitated, then admitted. It means, our bond senses you. It reacts to your presence. Rin feels it too. We have not reacted like this in years. Rin nodded slightly, eyes full of wonder, as if she couldn't believe what was happening. We feel safe with you, and we don't know why. The crowd gasped. Ellerin bonding instinct, choosing a stranger. A human, that was rare. Maybe impossible. The vendor's face turned pale. He stepped back quickly. No, 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 this is bad. Very bad. Human, you shouldn't be here. Their bond choosing you means trouble. But Jace wasn't moving. He was thinking, everything about this felt wrong. How the sisters were treated. How they were sold like broken machines. How the vendor lied about them. How the crowd feared them without reason. JSE finally spoke. Tell me the truth. What happened to your last owner? Rin's eyes filled with tears. He died protecting us, she whispered. He was kind. Like you. Lyra placed a protective arm around her sister. We tried to shield him. But the hunter was stronger. It feeds on Ellerin energy, and on any life connected to us. Jace felt his blood run cold. So that thing is still chasing you. Lyra nodded slowly. It follows our bond. No matter where we go, Avenda screamed. Human, don't take them. If you bond with them, the hunter will come for you next. Rin whispered again, this time not with her voice, but directly into Jace's mind. But if you leave, we will die here. Jace inhaled sharply. Their fear, their pain, their loneliness. He felt all of it in that single silent message. He knew then this wasn't about buying or owning. This was about saving two lives thrown away by everyone else. Lyra and Rin waited, breathless, as if their entire future stood in Jace's hands. The market around them blurred into background noise. Jace stepped forward until he stood right before them. He didn't touch them. He simply said, I'm not walking away. Lyra closed her eyes in relief. Rin's chains glowed faintly again, and somewhere beyond the market, something dark and unseen stirred. The hunter had felt the bond awaken. The marketplace fell silent the moment Jace said, I'm not walking away. It was as if the entire crowd inhaled at once. Merchants paused. Guards turned their heads. Even the alien creatures pulling wagons froze mid-step. The vendor stared at Jace like he had gone insane. No human chooses Ellerin's sisters, he hissed. Not after what happened to their last master. Jace didn't respond. He stood still, watching Lyra and Rin as if he were trying to see through their pain, their fear, their history. And for the first time since the day started, the sisters lifted their heads with a spark of hope. But the vendor wasn't finished. You are making a mistake, he warned, gripping the chains tightly. Once the bond reacts, you cannot escape them. They will follow you forever. And the hunter will follow them. Jace stepped closer, voice calm but firm. Let them go. The vendor shook his head violently. You don't understand. The hunter kills anyone connected to them. That thing wiped out an entire caravan last month. He pointed a trembling finger at Lyra. Her power attracted it. It crushed her last master in one strike. Lyra's jaw tightened. He died saving us. You know that. No, the vendor snapped. He died because of you. The crowd murmured in agreement. Humans don't survive Ellerin bonds. He's signing his own death. Poor fool. Jace ignored the whispers. He met Lyra's eyes. She didn't look demanding. She didn't look proud. She looked tired. Tired of running. Tired of being traded. Tired of losing everyone who cared. Rin looked shaken, her entire body trembling. "Please," she whispered, "don't choose us because you feel sorry. That is not a bond. That is pity." Jace knelt slightly, so he was eye level with them. "I'm not choosing you out of pity," he said softly. "I'm choosing you because I know what it feels like to be alone. And I don't want you to feel that again." Rin's lips parted. A small spark of light flickered in her eyes, aglow that wasn't fear this time, but connection. Lyra inhaled deeply. "Human. Our bond is powerful. It will connect us completely. You accept us, we become your guards. Your protectors, your family." She hesitated on the last word, as if she wasn't sure she deserved it. Jace gave a small smile. "Then, maybe that's what we all need." The vendor groaned dramatically. Fine. I warned you. Play me when you disappear like the last one." He shoved a rusty datapad toward Jace. "Fingerprint here. Once it registers the transfer, they're yours." Jace didn't look at the contract. He looked at the sisters. Lyra straightened her back. "If you truly want this," she said softly, "then place your hand in ours. The bond must connect by choice." Rin held out her shaking hand. For a moment, Jace stayed still. Not because he was afraid, but because this moment felt bigger than the marketplace. Bigger than the contract, bigger than the danger. It felt like destiny. He reached forward and placed his hand in theirs. The reaction was immediate. A warm energy jumped from their skin into his. A pulse of light rippled around their hands like a silent explosion. The chains rattled, glowing with violet fire before breaking apart with a snap. The crowd gasped. The bond chose him? Impossible. A human bonded with two Ellerin sisters. This has never happened. The vendor stumbled backward, terrified. No. This is bad. You didn't tell me you could do that." Lyra and Rin stepped closer to Jace, as if pulled by gravity. Their eyes glowed brighter, live, free, connected. Lyra whispered, "You didn't just bond with us. You created a dual link. A tri-bond. It has not existed in centuries." Jace blinked. "Is that?" "Bad. It is rare," Lyra answered. "And dangerous." Rin added, "but powerful." The bond finished forming, and Jace felt something new inside him, a soft echo of their emotions. Rin's fear, Lyra's strength, their relief, their gratitude, their need for protection. It all touched him gently. Like a quiet song he could suddenly hear. But then the air shifted. A cold ripple moved through the market. A shadow passed over the ground even though the suns were gone. Creatures hissed. Merchants fled. A warning bell rang far away. Lyra's eyes widened. No, not now. Rin grabbed Jace's arm tightly. "It felt us, the hunter. It knows we bonded. It's coming." The vendor screamed and ran. "Human, you doomed us all. The hunter will follow the bond now." Jace frowned. "What does this thing want?" Lyra's voice trembled for the first time. "It wants our energy. It feeds on Ellerin and anything connected to us." And now, she looked at Jace with fear and guilt twisting in her expression. "Now it will come for you too." The ground beneath them shook slightly. A distant, deep roar echoed through the city. Jace didn't step back. He stood between the sisters and the darkness. "I guess," he said quietly, "we face it together." Lyra whispered, "You made the choice nobody makes." Rin pressed against him as the air grew colder. "Now we must survive it." Jace pushed through the rushing crowd, keeping Lyra and Rin close as alarms echoed across the marketplace. The hunter's distant roar still vibrated in the air, sending a cold chill down everyone's spine. Merchants locked their stalls. Guards abandoned their posts. Even hardened smugglers ran for shelter. Only 3 figures didn't run: Jace, Lyra, and Rin. Lyra kept scanning the sky. It sensed the bond. Once awakened, the hunter always comes. Rin held Jace's sleeve tightly, her hands shaking. It is fast, it moves through shadows. We have to leave this place now. Jace nodded, guiding them down a narrow metal street. My ship isn't far. We'll be safe once we get off this moon. Lyra exchanged a doubtful glance with Rin. Safe. It's a word that rarely follows us. Still, they followed him. The sky darkened as they reached the docking yard. The lights flickered above them, casting a strange glow over the landing platforms. Rin kept looking behind them, trembling every time the shadows moved. "Is it close?" Jace asked quietly. "Yes," Rin whispered. "But it hides. It waits. It wants the perfect moment," Lyra added. "It enjoys fear. It feeds on it. Do not show weakness." Jace exhaled slowly. Easier said than done. Finally, they reached his ship, a small freighter, old but reliable, nicknamed the Sparrow. Jace tapped the panel and the ramp opened with a low hiss. "Get inside," he ordered gently. The sisters hurried up the ramp. Jace followed, locking the ship behind them. The interior lights flickered as if sensing the tension. Lyra studied the ship carefully. "This will do, but we must leave immediately." Jace moved to the cockpit. But before he could start the engines, Rin suddenly gasped. "Jace, stop." He turned. Her eyes were glowing faint violet. A soft wave of energy pulsed from her hands. "It's here," she whispered. The ship lights dimmed. The air felt heavy. Metal groaned softly, as if something pressed against the hull from outside. Lyra approached slowly, placing a hand on Jace's shoulder. "Stay calm. The hunter can feel emotions through the bond. If you panic, it will know exactly where to strike." Jace swallowed. "This thing, how does it attack?" Lyra took a small breath. "It appears as a shadow. It slips into cracks, corners, even between walls. It can silence an entire room without making a sound," Rin added, "and it hates light." "Any kind of light," Jace nodded. "Then I'll give it all the light it can handle." He powered up the ship. Engines hummed. The cockpit glowed blue. The hull trembled, but this time from the ship itself, preparing for takeoff. "Hold on," he said. The freighter lifted off the docking pad. The landing yard shrank beneath them. The city lights of the trade moon blurred into streaks of gold and red. But just as the Sparrow left the ground, a long black shadow rose from the rooftops. Ryn screamed, clutching her head. "It's coming. It's coming." Lyra grabbed her and closed her eyes, sending a pulse of energy through the bond to calm her. Jace tightened his grip on the controls, then let it follow. "We're leaving." The ship shot into the sky. The black shadow chased them, long and fast, like living darkness. It twisted through the air, almost dancing around the engines. Rin trembled violently. "It wants us. It wants our energy." Lyra stood behind Jace, steady as a warrior. "It will chase us until we break through the atmosphere. After that, it becomes weaker." The freighter shook as something slammed into the hull. "Lyra." Jace called out. "Tell me it's losing strength." But Lyra's eyes widened. "No, it is stronger than before." Rin whimpered. "That's because it tasted our fear." Jace cursed under his breath. He pushed the throttle forward. The Sparrow roared into the upper atmosphere, engines screaming. But the shadow moved faster. It wrapped around the ship. It darkened the windows. It whispered through the vents. Ryn covered her ears. "It wants the bond. It wants you now, Jace. Jace's heart pounded. Why me? Lyra answered softly, voice heavy with fear and guilt. Because we bonded with you, you carry the same energy now. You are part of us. The ship broke through the last layer of atmosphere. For a moment, the stars shone bright. The shadow shrieked a horrible, high sound and released the ship. Falling back toward the moon, Rin collapsed into Jace's arms, trembling. Lyra held her, whispering comfort. Jace steadied his breath. Is it gone? Lyra shook her head slowly. No, it cannot follow us into space for now. But it will return. Jace looked at them both, exhausted but determined. Then, when it comes back, we'll be ready. Lyra's eyes softened. You risked everything for us. Rin whispered, voice small but full of emotion. And now, the hunter will never stop. Jace stood firm. Then neither will I. For a while, the sparrow drifted silently in orbit, far above the red trade moon. The stars outside were calm. Peaceful, almost gentle, but the air inside the ship told a very different story. Lyra stood near the window, staring into the darkness. Rin curled beside her, still trembling from the chase. Jace watched the scanners, even though he knew they would not help. The hunter did not appear on screens. It did not leave a trail. It was invisible unless it wanted to be seen. JAC finally broke the silence. Is it gone for now? Lyra shook her head slowly. It will return when the bond flares again. The moment our emotional energy rises, it will sense it. Rin whispered, it follows feelings. The stronger the bond, the stronger the pull. Jace sighed. Then we need to stay calm. Rin let out a small, nervous laugh. That is like telling a river to stay still. Lyra placed a comforting hand on Rin's back. He means well. He is trying to protect us. Jace leaned back in his chair. I'm trying to protect all of us. Expected a moment of peace. Maybe a few minutes to breathe. But the ship made a faint creaking noise, too soft to be normal, too sharp to ignore. Lyra stiffened immediately. That sound. That was not the ship. Jace stood slowly. Then what was it? Before she could answer, another sound echoed. This one came from the far back corridor. A whisper. But not a normal one. A cold sliding whisper, like wind moving through bone. Rin gasped and grabbed Lyra's arm. It found us. How? We're in space. Lyra's face went pale. It must have slipped into the ship before we took off. Jace's blood ran cold. You mean? It boarded with us. Lyra nodded. Some hunters do not need air. They live in dark, closed spaces. You brought us close. And it followed the bond. Jace grabbed a flashlight from the wall and flicked it on. If it hates light, this should give us a chance. Rin touched his sleeve fearfully. Do not go alone. I won't, Jace said. You're coming with me. Both of you. Lyra nodded firmly. Then stay between us. The bond is strongest when we are close. They moved cautiously into the corridor. The lights above flickered, one by one, as if something drained energy from them. The air grew colder. The walls groaned. A strange hiss traveled across the metal floor, circling them. Rin pressed closer to Jace. It's watching us. It always watches first. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly, bond energy building. Jace, whatever happens, do not let fear take over. Fear makes the hunter stronger. He nodded slowly. I'll try. They reached the engine corridor, narrow and silent. Jace shined the flashlight ahead. Something moved. A shadow shifted against the wall, but there was no object to cast it. It was just darkness, shaped like something alive. Rin's breath hitched. It's here. Jace gripped the flashlight tightly. For a moment, the shadow stayed still like it was studying them. Then it twisted, stretching toward the ceiling like smoke rising. Lyra stepped between Jace and the darkness. "Stay behind me." The shadow responded immediately. It lashed out. A tendril of darkness shot across the room, slamming into Lyra and pushing her backward. "Lyra!" Jace yelled. She stumbled, but didn't fall. Her eyes glowed brighter. "It can't touch me fully. Not while the bond is active." The shadow turned its attention to Jace. Rin screamed as it leaped toward him. Fast as lightning, Jace raised the flashlight just in time. A brilliant beam struck the shadow, and it shrieked a high piercing cry that rattled the walls. The darkness recoiled violently. It hates light. Rin cried, "More." Lyra ordered. Jace stepped forward, shining the flashlight directly into the creature's center. The shadow twisted, writhing on the walls like it was burning. Lyra held her hands up, sending a wave of violet energy across the floor. Rin joined her, supporting the bond, her small hands glowing softly. The combined energy pushed the shadow backward. It slammed into the far wall, shrieking louder, shaking the whole corridor. "Push it back," Lyra yelled. "Don't stop, Jace." But suddenly, the flashlight flickered. The battery drained fast, too fast. "No, no, no." Jace slapped it desperately. The light blinked. Lyra yelled, "Jace, keep the light alive. If it goes out, click." Darkness. Rin shrieked and grabbed Jace's arm. Lyra's glow flickered. The shadow surged forward like a tidal wave of cold. And before Jace could react, something wrapped around his neck. Lyra screamed his name. Rin fell to her knees, crying, "No. It wants to feed on Haman our bond." The shadow tightened. Jace gasped, clawing at the darkness. His vision blurred. His heart pounded. He felt life draining from him until a blast of violet light exploded from behind him. Lyra and Rin stood glowing like twin stars. Their voices echoed together. "Release him," the shadow hissed, but loosened its grip. Jace fell into Lyra's arms, coughing. Rin held his hand tightly, shaking. Lyra whispered, "This is only the beginning. It wants you now, Jace. The bond made you part of its hunger." Jace breathed slowly, refusing to collapse. "Then we fight it." Lyra's eyes softened. "You cannot fight it alone," Rin whispered, "but with us. Maybe you can." The shadow retreated into the vents. Waiting, it wasn't defeated, just hungry. The corridor stayed cold long after the shadow disappeared into the vents. The ship lights flickered weakly, struggling to return to normal. Jace leaned against the wall, breathing hard, still feeling the ghostly touch of the hunter's grip around his throat. Lyra held him steady. Rin pressed against his arm, her hands shaking. "You almost died," Rin whispered, eyes filled with guilt. "It wanted to drain your life through the bond," Lyra added. "It saw your fear. It tasted your energy." Jace swallowed, voice rough. "And it almost won." Lyra shook her head firmly. "No, you fought. We fought. And because you did, something inside the bond changed." Rin nodded, confused but amazed. "I felt it too. A spark. Something new." Jace frowned. "What kind of spark?" Lyra moved closer, placing a hand on his chest right over his heartbeat. "The bond tried to protect you, and you responded. Humans should not be able to push back, but you did. You activated the connection from your side." Jace raised an eyebrow. "So, I have powers now." Rin giggled softly despite the fear. "Not powers, more like potential," Lyra continued. "The tri-bond between us is growing, and the more danger we face together, the stronger it becomes." Jace huffed a small smile. Then it's good the hunter keeps attacking us. Rin slapped his arm lightly. That is not funny. But even Lyra hid a small smile. The moment didn't last long. A low rumble vibrated through the ship. The lights dimmed again. Rin froze. It's still here. It didn't run far. Lyra's eyes narrowed. It is waiting for the bond to flare again. It wants to attack when we are tired. When we are scared, Jace reached for his flashlight. But the battery inside was dead, completely drained. The hunter had sucked the energy out of it. Great, Jace muttered. We need another plan. Lyra stepped in front of him. There is another way. She took Rin's hand, and both their eyes began to glow against soft violet light, swirling like smoke inside them. The bond can create light. Lyra whispered. Not physical light, but energy? Rin finished. Energy that can burn the hunter. Jace stared at them. You mean? You can actually hurt it. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, but only if all three of us connect. Jace blinked. All three. Rin held his hand gently. The tri-bond must activate. You must open your mind to us. Jace exhaled deeply. What do I need to do? Lyra and Rin stepped closer until all three stood in a small circle. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Rin wrapped her fingers around his wrist. Close your eyes, Lyra said softly, and let the bond move through you. Jace did at first. He felt nothing. Then a warm pulse, a faint heartbeat that wasn't his. Then another. Lyra. Rin, their emotions flowed into him gently, like calm waves: fear, strength, hope, pain, loneliness, desperation, and something else, trust. The bond glowed brighter. A warm energy wrapped around the three of them like invisible threads weaving together. Rin gasped. It's working. Jace felt a pull in his chest, like someone opening a door inside his mind. He didn't stop it. He let it open. Electric warmth surged through his arms. His skin vibrated. The air around them shimmered. Lyra whispered Jace. Your side of the bond is awakening. The ship groaned. The vents rattled. A cold hiss echoed from above. The hunter felt it. Rin tightened her grip. It knows. It knows we're bonding stronger. Lyra shouted, Jace, don't break the connection. The shadows slammed out of the vents, a huge wave of darkness exploding into the corridor. Rin screamed. Jace clenched his jaw. Lyra spread her arms, glowing brighter. The hunter crashed toward them like a living storm, its scream shaking the ship. Now? Lyra yelled. Jac opened his eyes. They were glowing faint violet like the sisters. The tri-bond burst. A shockwave of pure light exploded from their bodies, not white light, not yellow light, but glowing violet energy that shot across the walls, the ceiling. The floor. The shadow hit the energy and shrieked louder than ever before. It writhed violently, twisting into the air as if burning alive. Lyra pushed harder. Rin poured all her strength into the bond. Jace acted like a conduit, channeling their energy through him. The hunter screamed. The walls shook. The ship trembled. And then? The shadow ripped apart, like smoke being torn by wind. It dissolved violently into drifting dark sparks and vanished into the corner of the corridor. Silence, Ryn, collapsed onto her knees, breathing hard. Lyra steadied her, exhausted but alive. Jace leaned against the wall, feeling the fading thrum of energy in his veins. Rin whispered, almost crying, We heard it. We really heard it. Lyra nodded, though fear still glimmered in her eyes. Yes, but the hunter is not dead. It will return, stronger. Jace stood tall, despite the exhaustion. If it comes again, we hit it harder. Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand on his chest. You changed everything today, Jace. Humans are not supposed to link with Ellerin. And yet, your bond awakened like ours. Rin smiled weakly. You're like us now. Jace breathed in slowly. And you're not alone anymore. Lyra's eyes softened. No, none of us are alone now. But in the darkness of the ship's vents, something faint flickered. A whisper, a spark, a whispering echo of the hunter's voice. I am not finished. Asterisk, the ship was finally quiet. The violet glow faded from the walls. The energy threads dissolved from the air, and the cold stillness slowly returned. But something in the Sparrow had changed forever. Not the metal, not the lights, not the walls. The people inside. Jace sat on the floor, back against the corridor wall, still breathing hard as the last echoes of the tri-bond energy left his body. Beside him, Rin leaned weakly against his shoulder, her small frame trembling with both exhaustion and relief. Lyra stood a few steps ahead, watching the dark vent where the hunter had vanished. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were troubled. Jace finally broke the silence. Is it gone for good? Lyra shook her head, slow and heavy. No, the hunter does not die easily, but we hurt it deeply. It will need time to recover, Rin whispered, but it will come back. Her voice cracked with fear. It always comes back. Jace placed a steady hand on her arm. Then we'll survive again. Lyra turned toward him. But you don't understand what this means. You are now part of the bond. It's truly part of it. Jace frowned. I already knew that. No, Lyra said gently. You felt it? That is different. The tri-bond is ancient, forbidden among our people, dangerous. It links not only our emotions, she touched her chest, but our destinies. Rin's voice trembled with wonder. You're connected to us forever. Jace looked between them. He didn't feel fear. He didn't feel trapped. He felt right. Then you're connected to me forever too, he said simply. Rin blinked as if no one had ever spoken to her like that. Lyra lowered her eyes, her expression softening with something like gratitude. Jace slowly stood. Look, I don't want to own you. I don't want to command you. I don't want servants. What I want is simple. He extended his hand to them. Family. Rin's lips parted in shock. Lyra's breath hitched. In all their years of running from slavers, from hunters, from their past, nobody had ever offered them that word. Family.Ryn took his hand first, tears glowing in her violet eyes. Lyra placed her hand on top of theirs, steady and warm. But their moment of peace didn't last long. A faint pulse of dark energy shivered through the vents. The same direction the hunter had slipped away. Lyra stiffened. It is not attacking, but it is watching. Jace clenched his jaw. Let it watch. It knows we can fight. Rin shook her head. It knows something else, too. Knows what? Jace asked. Rin hesitated, voice barely above a whisper. That the tri-bond awakened fully. Lyra turned to Jace slowly. The hunter feeds on the strongest bonds in the galaxy, and the tri-bond we formed is one of the rarest sources of power. Jace frowned deeply. So you're saying we made ourselves a bigger target? Lyra nodded. Yes, much bigger. Rin trembled. We made you a target too. Jace placed a hand on her small shoulder. I don't care. Rin looked up at him, startled. Lyra stared hard, as if trying to understand him. Why? She asked quietly. Jace smiled softly. Because someone had to choose you. Someone had to stop running. Someone had to stand with you. And if the whole galaxy thinks that's crazy, Flazu, he lifted his chin. Then, I guess, I'm crazy. Rin's eyes filled with tears, again warm ones this time, not scared ones. Lyra looked at him for a long moment, then finally said, "You remind me of our last master. He was brave and kind." Jace swallowed. What really happened to him? Rin looked away. He saved us. He faced the hunter alone. His bond was weaker than ours, so he could not survive the attack. Lyra added, voice low. He died protecting us, and because of that sacrifice, the hunter marked us. Jace breathed deeply. So now it wants to finish what it started. Lyra nodded. Yes, and it will not stop until the bond is broken, or one of us dies. Jace shook his head. No one is dying. Not again. The lights flickered softly, not from fear this time, but from the bond's gentle pulse. The tri-bond had become something living. Suddenly, a soft beep came from the cockpit. Lyra turned. What was that? Jace walked to the controls. A red message blinked across the screen. Incoming signal, unknown source, deep space coordinates. Locked message. We know you have them. Rin gasped. Lyra's eyes widened. That is not the hunter, she whispered. A second message flashed beneath the first. We are coming. Jace stared at the screen. What does this mean? Lyra's voice was low, almost trembling. It means the hunter is not the only thing searching for us, Rin whispered, gripping Jace's hand tightly. Jace, our real danger is only beginning. The sparrow drifted silently among the stars. 3 bonded souls stood together, stronger than before, united by fate and marked by something far bigger than the hunter. Behind them, the shadow in the vents whispered softly, I will return. And far beyond the stars, another threat was already on its way.